Hello and welcome to Asake Online. My name is Leslie Moy. The name of the program is Fix My City. We focus on service delivery issues that affect the city of Bulawayo and the surrounding areas. A few weeks ago, the Bulawayo City Council unveiled a $158 million budget for 2023, and they say that the budget is a standstill budget, meaning that there was no change from the 2022 budget. So to discuss this and review the budget, to get the sentiments of the residents, we've invited into the program Mr. Thembelani Dube, the Secretary for Administration for the Bulawayo Progressive Residents Association. Welcome to the program, Mr. Dube. As we discuss on the Bulawayo City Council 2023 budget, maybe first of all, let's talk about the low participation that we've been seeing in the last few years. Why is it that residents in Bulawayo are no longer attending these budget consultation meetings?
I think the reasons may be twofold. The first one being that the residents, some of them may not be aware of the importance of participating in those budget consultations, because that's where decisions are made. And the majority of our residents, especially the younger generation, let me say it that way, the youths, those who are in the 18 to 35 bracket, and even some adults, don't consider participating in these meetings as being important. Maybe it's lack of knowledge. Then secondly, and being the most important, is that the residents have noted that even if they go and participate, their views or their points are not taken seriously by Bulawayo City Council. Because whenever they come with those budget consultation figures, it seems as if they would have done their own conclusion regarding the budget for that particular year. Even if the residents raise concerns, you find that the councillors, especially what we're noticing regarding this budget consultation that happened, because I remember in March 14, that's where the mayor was, and he was busy whipping people so that they follow whatever was being said. And I think that's what happened in his ward as well. And when you see councillors doing that, that's what in most cases discourage residents to attend future meetings. And this is the reason why you find that the low participation that we experienced this year is a result of such behavior by office bearers who are expected to be guiding residents but not forcing them to accept the budget. Would understand if the city managers are the ones who are doing that, that is the employees of council, but not the people's representatives. So at the end of the day, you find that the residents, they lose that faith in the whole process. And at the same time, we have always talked about the need to have quarterly reviews of the budget, or if need be, maybe 3 times a year or even twice a year. But whenever you see BCC or officials coming to consult the people, always it's about the budget that is going to be presented to the people. Like what happened this year, you find that there was that smoke screen approach to say, let's go and review the budget and tell the people what was used. It was just a few weeks before they came and presented the 2023 budget. So the residents no longer have faith in the process.
And what can be done to ensure that residents participate? Because at the end of the day, they are the ones who are affected by service delivery.
There is need for continuous, let me say, capacity building. As residents, we need to capacitate ourselves. We have done that before, but now we also need to disabuse or to tell the residents to disabuse themselves from their political inclinations, because at times people may not attend these meetings because they don't want to disappoint their political hosts, or they don't want to be associated with the presence of a certain individual who is affiliated to a particular political party. But the main thing that, or the main action that needs to be taken is to continuously educate our residents on the need for them to go and participate in these public meetings. But we did that through our WhatsApp groups. We tried to encourage the residents. We tried to publicize as much as possible the dates that were released by Bulawayo City Council so that they can go and participate in these budget consultation meetings. So there is need for that continuous, because there is need to have that mindset shift, that shift in the mindset of the residents to say, let's not wait for the processes to be complete so that we start complaining, but we need to participate from the word go so that we influence those decisions. That's why it's called a consultation. We need to go and say our views.
Also, you mentioned the issue of using social media platforms, for instance, to advertise the consultation meeting dates. We saw during the COVID-19, Bulawayo City Council actually using social media to try and gather the views of the residents. But there were also concerns there. But how can we then integrate technology, social media platforms in terms of gathering residents' views, considering that maybe some would say, when these meetings are done, I'll be at work, or I'll be, because now people, some they are self-employed. Maybe someone says I can't leave my job to attend a meeting. Maybe I can still contribute, maybe via WhatsApp or any other platform.
What needs to be done is to use both methods. Maybe what we can emphasize on is on the issue of time that is taken to do these consultations, because in most cases they are rushed. You find that they are just done, maybe within a week they are done, all the 29 ones. And at times there will be no opportunity given to those who may be at work. Let's say if we can have a blended approach whereby we have a WhatsApp group for a ward, maybe that can last for 4 or 5 days to a week, so that residents can continue raising their views concerning the budget consultations. Not the situation whereby we have a meeting maybe in Ward 27 or in Ward 15 or in Ward 17. That takes for about 2 hours only. So it limits the participation in the sense that some residents may not be present due to work commitments. But we need to have those social platforms where they can continuously make their contributions maybe for a week, like I have said before. And then at the same time, we need to devolve the physical meetings. What do I mean by that? You'll find that in Ward 27, for instance, there is one hall, but the ward is very big. If you go to maybe Ward 26, they don't even have a hall. They use a school, I think. If you go to maybe Magwekwe, that is what 20, 29, 28, or Cattle Park, that side, they are very big. But now the challenge is, we have raised it before that why don't we use the section approach method, whereby we have section A, let's have a meeting in section A, let's have a meeting in section B, let's have a meeting in section C, up to, in some wards they have sections maybe up to F or G or something like that, so that we encourage all the residents to participate. But if you cluster or group the residents in one hall, some of them are coming from faraway distances. You find that in a ward there may be one hall, but some people are maybe kilometers away from that hall, and that discourages residents to go and participate. So we have always encouraged the Bulawayo City Council to work hand in glove with the residents associations and Ozibute. You know, these Bute, they operate under auspices of farmer sections, whereby if you go to section A and you liaise with this Bute leadership there to organize abantu, you find that in a section there are about 400 households or 400 houses. And the household may be more than that, because people can be sharing those houses. And in a meeting, for instance, if we go for our monthly, those who can be some pan, you find that there may be around 300, 400 people under a tree or whatever. So we have always encouraged that approach to say, let's devolve the approach. Let's work Bulawayo City Council together with the residents associations and those who work together, so that we mobilize abantu babuye in their respective meeting points, section points. But you'll find that whenever the timetables for the meetings are released, they will be referring to a particular hall, except in Ward 27, that is Pumla South. That's where they usually have two meetings, the other one in the hall, the other one in Pelandaba, that side, because the ward is big for now. So if that can be done in all the wards and have a lot of meeting points, there's no reason why we don't have meetings for a week. If a council or a particular ward can be allocated particular BCC officials for a week, so that they go and gather the views. Why the rush? Because this thing is affecting the residents. Why rushing the process? Why do we have one meeting per ward just like that? So we need to have a lot of time. We need to use different approaches, and at the same time devolve the approaches that we'll be using.
Then moving on to the proposed 2023 budget, the Bulawayo City Council unveiled a $158 million budget, which is the same as the 2022 budget. Your response to this proposed budget?
Yes, as much as they say it is a standstill budget, but it's not a budget that was agreed by the people. Remember, whenever they were doing this debasing or indexing against the US dollar, the residents were never consulted. It was just an imposition by the finance department and the other city managers together with the councillors. That's what we have always said, because if they agreed to that, then they relegated their duties to say we are supposed to be representing the people. But in this case, they supported a budget that was imposed upon the people. As much as they say it's a standstill budget, we, as the residents, we feel that the figures are too high. The US dollar figures are too high. And that this has resulted in the ballooning rates that the residents continue to receive. Now, going back to your question, we are saying that if the funds are utilized effectively and they are meant to do what they are supposed to do, then we will expect to see a lot of development in the different wards. But now the challenge with BCC budgets is that they are not clear. What do I mean by that? As a residents association, as Bulawayo Progressive Residents Association, we have realized that when we are doing a budget, we have to be explicit. We have to be clear as to what we are going to do with how much. But if you only say roads, which roads are you going to be rehabilitating? How many kilometers going to be done? Is it going to be regrading or tarring those roads? But the budgets are not clear. And if you say we are going to, this is going to health, what do you mean by that? Are you going to be buying drugs? Are you going to be building new infrastructure, the health infrastructure? The budgets, whenever they are presented to the people, they are ambiguous. They are not clear, because the residents will only hear about the round figure to say we are going to be like this one is 158 million. How much is going to be allocated to the roads? They will put maybe 50,000. How many roads are going to be rehabilitated? Which ones exactly? In a particular ward, which ones are going to be rehabilitated? For instance, if I stay in Ward 15, I need to know the road that is going to be rehabilitated. The stretch of that road, how many kilometers is going to be rehabilitated? So that it will be easy for the people to have or to follow and make a monitor and evaluate if the things that were said to were going to be said to have are going to be done are really being done. But if you just say 50 million for the roads, we don't even know the roads that are going to be rehabilitated. We don't even know the stretch, how many kilometers is going to be done. So I think that that remains an issue.
Council has already given a warning to say, because the residents were saying that the charges are too high, so we won't increase the budget. And they are saying that that might compromise service delivery. Is that maybe a way of them saying, if things are not done in 2023, we gave you a warning to say this budget will affect service delivery?
No, they can't be telling us that because they are the ones who came up with the figures without consulting the residents. That is this year when they were rebasing that. So when we try to engage the finance department regarding the rebasing, they said these are the figures that will improve the city. So the figures, the US dollar value doesn't lose that much compared to our local currency. So what would have changed for them to say this money is not going to be enough if they argued that this is the money that we need for us to develop the city? Because that's what Ndimande and the crew said when we approached them. They said these are the figures that are going to help Bulawayo to develop. So these are the same figures. It's a standstill budget. So we expect development to happen because they are the ones who came up with those figures. The residents said they are too much and they resisted to reduce because they said once we reduce, there's not going to be any development in Bulawayo. So if they are the ones who calculated those figures using whatever rate they were using, then to us, it means we need to see a lot of development.
Okay. And then when it comes to development, they said that they've allocated $106 million which will go to infrastructure development, looking at classroom blocks, clinics, stands, roads, like you said, but that the budget was not really specific. But I think for years we've had these, whenever it's budget time, we are told that we are going to build schools, we're going to build clinics. But some of these projects, we don't see them. How can we hold council accountable? Because as you say, that for Mkanun, for instance, they still don't have a clinic. They don't have a recreational hall and other social amenities. But what can, as a resident, what can be done to hold council accountable? To say, this is what you said you're going to do, and why was it not done? Or as BPRA, do you have some of these mechanisms in place?
In order to hold the office bearers accountable, there is need for them to specify, because we will be writing to them to say, can we have a specific best budget to say, in what 27, what are you going to do? In what 19, what are you going to do? In what 7, what are you going to do? Because if we follow that holistic approach to say, this is what Bulawayo we are going to rehabilitate roads, is too broad. For instance, if you follow the recent trends, they usually rehabilitate those roads in the eastern suburbs. Or at times they resurface that airport road. Is it Robert Mugabe Road? Whenever, because they'll be preparing for the trade fairs and so forth. It's an annual event for them. But when it comes to other suburbs, other wards, there's nothing that happens. Maybe you can see a grader grading one dusty road or something, a gravel road, something like that. So to us, the budget is not specific. So we need to push on Bulawayo City Council to give us a specific budget to say, what is it going to be done in a particular ward? What-based projects? Not this holistic approach to say, in Bulawayo, this is what we're going to do. Because at the end of the day, some wards are left lagging behind. For instance, if they are saying health, we need to see if are they going to build a clinic in Ward 26? Are they going to build a clinic in Ward 29? Are they going to build a clinic in Ward 28? Because if you go to Makwekwe North, for instance, there is no clinic. But every year there is that budget. If you go to Mkanwin, there is no clinic. If you go to Country Park is going to be divided into 3 wards if the current rumors are true. That is Ward 5, Ward 15, I think. Ward 5, Ward 16, and Ward 28. So if we have 3 wards, are they going to be building clinics in those 3 wards? We need to have that that specified. Or they are simply going to be repainting the existing clinics. So that's what we mean by saying we need a specific budget, because currently the budgets are not specific, and it becomes very difficult for us as the residents to monitor and evaluate what council said is going to do.
One issue that as BPRA you have been engaging the council on is on the issue of housing stands, the pre-sale model. And I noted that in the 2023 budget, the council said that they are going to continue that model. And they've specified the housing projects that they are going to embark on in the next year. Your sentiments have always been that the housing stands are expensive. And is that the best model in terms of improving housing in Bulawayo?
The best model for the poor is to have houses built. Then the residents can occupy those houses and then be paying in installments to try and settle. Like what used to happen when we had those housing societies, or like CAPs and whatever, those houses that were built by those societies, whereby residents occupy the house, then they continue paying maybe for 15, 20 years or 25 years, depending on the agreement. Like what Workflight is doing in some areas. They build, you occupy the house, then you continue paying for that house. Instead of you raising money for a rent and then at the same time trying to buy a stand, because these stands are expensive. For instance, the recently released one, the 200 square meters is costing almost close to $6,000, 5,000 and something. Now, when it comes to pre-sale or farmer stands, we have a challenge, because if you have been following, there are people who were supposed to benefit from the 2016 stands in Pumla South. We also have people who are supposed to benefit from such stands along Ndemba Road, that is between Pumla North and Makwekwe West, and other areas. Up to today, they haven't received or they haven't been shown or allocated those stands. And people lost a lot of their money. Some sold their livestock, some sold their properties so that they can raise the money. And now, if you follow the articles, you find that PCC said they must top up using, they must pay 6,000 as top up. And 6,000 is more than what the current stands are costing. So our argument is, what if the same thing happens to the people who will be buying these stands? Because council seems to be failing to settle that problem. And by asking people to pay another top-up of 6,000, it's like asking someone to buy a stand twice. Because those people, whenever, at that time, when they were paying those monies, it was around 7,000. But the rate was 1:1. So it was $7,000. And now you ask the person again to top up using 6,000. I don't think. So to us, this pre-sale arrangement at times is abused by these officials, because the Bulawayo City Council officials, because at the end of the day, they will argue that the money was never used for what it was supposed to be used for. But then our argument is, why did you keep that money instead of buying the material that was supposed to be used to service? Because whenever someone is talking about savings in stands, they are simply talking about buying the 110 millimeter pipe for sewer and at the same time buying the 75 millimeter for water. So those things are not expensive. We are used to construction that we know what is needed, but people are losing out. Even if you calculate to say, they ask me to pay 200, for a 200 square meter, they ask me to pay $6,000. Our argument is, what is that money going to be used for? Yes, trenches are going to be excavated for laying those pipes, because these pipes are almost parallel to each other. But we are saying, after excavating, you have done your expenses regarding maybe servicing of the machines and fueling the machines, and then buying these pipes, which are 6 meters long and so forth. What is the rest of the money going to? Where is the rest of the money going to? Or what are they going to use it for? So that's where our challenge is. That's why you end up saying the servicing or the cost of these debts is too expensive, because if you try to understand the servicing process, it's not that expensive that it can warrant someone to pay $6,000.
Then maybe in closing, we can also maybe focus on some projects that, as residents, we've already said that council should have more income streams instead of just relying on rates. We saw in 2022 the implementation of the parking system. As you've been reviewing it for this past month, how are you finding it? Is it what the City Council set out to be, considering that they were saying that the monies that they raise from there will go towards improving the city roads?
Right, let me start by saying that we witnessed a positive whereby someone could now park for an hour, even if that person changes the parking base, they will continue to use their dollar. But now the challenge that we are noticing is that those gadgets that used to be put on the surface, they are no longer there. They are just marking. And at the same time, they are marking whenever, even if they are potholes, they just mark and charge you. Then we are worried about the revenue collection security measures that are in place. Because the other day I was asking this girl who was manning a particular area, and I was saying, how do you notice that a vehicle is parked? Do we have any gadget to tell you that this vehicle has just come in? And he was saying, I know, I will just see it, and then I use my watch to calculate his card that the person stayed. Then to us, that is open to corrupt activities. Because suppose if I have got $5, I can park for the whole day. Because that girl, if I give that girl $5, there's nothing that is monitoring those guys who are manning those slots. And at the end of the day, even the improvements that we are expecting to be done on our roads are no longer being implemented, because we were told that whenever they are going to be parking bays, that area will be resurfaced. It will be a smart area, but we continue to see those parking bays being drawn on potholed areas, which means it's more like taking from the poor residents, and we don't know where they are investing whatever money that they are getting. But we know that BCC is getting something out of that. But now when it comes to investing on the infrastructure, that's where our worry is. We continue to think that there are properties that Bulawayo City Council owns, which can actually bring a lot of revenue. For instance, if you talk of the LSP farm, we understand there are gold claims there. But now someone who is a council official is owning that. Those gold claims. Someone was explaining to us to say, if there is farming and mining takes precedence. And if someone has got a claim to the gold deposits, then that person has a right to mine as an individual at the expense of BCC, because we know that LSP farm has got gold deposits. But someone who is a high-ranking council official applied for those claims and was given that. And according to the laws of Zimbabwe, it seems that person, we can only challenge the people maybe who are occupying that particular area to say, can we have these claims maybe being owned by Bulawayo City Council instead of individuals? But as things stand, there are individuals who are council employees who are owning those gold claims. So whatever is being realized today is not benefiting Bulawayo City Council, but it's benefiting individuals who are working in Bulawayo City Council.
And then maybe speaking on that, there are so many projects that we promised in 2022. For instance, we were told that the Emera house will be built, but we have not had any progress on that. How can residents ensure that these things are, because they'll be taking money from which is meant for development somewhere, they channel it to these projects, but at the end of the day we don't see any progress.
For a city to develop, we need to have checks and balances, which currently are lacking. how are they lacking? Most of the councillors that were elected into positions, they are there to enrich themselves. That's the open truth. And unless we have councillors of that caliber that we used to have in the previous years, then we'll continue to have councillors who are there not representing the residents, but who are thinking about their stomachs, and then at the same time being the boys for the managers. Let me put it that way. Most of them are compromised. Most of them have been involved in a lot of corrupt activities from our perspective as an association. And they are failing now to play their role, that is the oversight role, to monitor and evaluate whatever council is doing. They are part and parcel of the deals that are happening in council. So the residents, we urge the residents to please vote for people that are going to have your interest at heart, instead of just voting for the individuals just because that particular person belongs to your political party. That's why we are where we are today, because we just vote not for the individual in terms of character, but we vote basing on the political party that particular individual belongs to.
It is really a concern that Bulawayo residents are not active when it comes to participation in these budget consultation meetings and other meetings that are called by the local authority. Hopefully, through engagements from associations like the Bulawayo Progressive Association, we will see more participation from residents themselves. And we'll keep monitoring how this 2023 budget will be implemented by the local authority. Thank you so much for joining us in this program, Fix My City. Let's meet again in the next edition. My name is Leslie Moyo.